In the hallowed grounds of Flanders Fields, amidst the silent rows of white crosses, lie the stories of over 4 million Americans. They answered a desperate call, stepping onto a global stage of unprecedented horror, believing they fought the war to end all wars. Yet a century later, their profound sacrifices often remain shrouded in a collective amnesia. This is a solemn journey into the heart of their forgotten heroism, a remembrance of the American soldiers of World War I. When the Great War ignited Europe in 1914, America, under President Woodrow Wilson, clung fiercely to neutrality. Our nation, a melting pot of European immigrants, sought to avoid entanglement in the continent's ancient rivalries. Wilson's promise was clear: to keep American sons from Europe's devastating bloodbath. However, the brutal realities of modern warfare relentlessly chipped away at this isolation. German U-boats prowling the Atlantic indiscriminately sank merchant ships, including those carrying American citizens. The sinking of the Lusitania in 1915, claiming over 100 American lives, sent shockwaves across the nation. The final, undeniable provocation arrived in the form of the Zimmermann telegram. This audacious secret proposal from Germany to Mexico, promising lost territories in exchange for an alliance against the United States, shattered any remaining illusions of peace. It was a direct threat to American sovereignty. On April 6, 1917, Congress, with a heavy heart, declared war. Within a mere few months, young American men, many having never ventured beyond their hometowns, found themselves embarking on a perilous journey across the Atlantic. They were bound for a war they barely understood, against an enemy they scarcely knew, driven by a profound sense of duty. The American Expeditionary Forces, affectionately known as the Doughboys, arrived in France to confront a conflict unlike any in human history. This was not the romanticized warfare of previous generations, devoid of glorious cavalry charges or decisive maneuvers. This was industrial-scale slaughter, a grinding, dehumanizing struggle for mere yards of blood-soaked earth. In the muddy, rat-infested labyrinth of the trenches, American soldiers faced a terrifying trinity of modern warfare. Machine gun nests, capable of scything down hundreds in mere seconds, created impassable fields of fire. Poison gas, a silent, insidious killer, burned lungs, blinded eyes, and left indelible psychological scars. Artillery barrages, heard for miles, transformed landscapes into lunar craters and shattered the nerves of even the bravest men. Life in the trenches was a subterranean existence, a constant battle against the elements, disease, and despair. Soldiers lived like moles, sharing their cramped, squalid holes with the fallen, with vermin, and with the ever-present threat of death. The psychological toll was immense, manifesting as shell shock, a term then poorly understood, now recognized as severe post-traumatic stress disorder. Many who survived the bullets and gas never truly recovered, their minds as wounded as their bodies. In 1918, however, there was little understanding, no effective treatment, and tragically, often no compassion for these invisible wounds. Among America's bravest, a unit emerged whose valor struck fear into the hearts of their German adversaries. The 369th Infantry Regiment, immortalized as the Harlem Hellfighters. These African-American soldiers fought with an unmatched ferocity and unwavering courage, enduring more continuous combat than any other American unit. Their story is a testament to extraordinary resilience in the face of profound injustice. Yet, their heroism was forged in a bitter irony. Despite their eagerness to serve their own nation, steeped in racial segregation, refused to allow them to fight alongside white troops. They were relegated to menial labor, their martial spirit stifled, until they were reluctantly handed over to the French army. The French, desperate for fighting men, welcomed them as brothers in arms, recognizing their inherent worth and skill. Under the French tricolor, the Hellfighters earned their legendary reputation. The Germans, witnessing their relentless bravery, bestowed upon them the moniker Hellfighters out of a mixture of respect and fear. The French government, deeply impressed by their extraordinary heroism, awarded them the prestigious Croix de Guerre en masse. They were celebrated, honored, and treated with dignity on foreign soil. However, their triumphant return home to America was met with a stark, painful reality. Despite proving their patriotism and courage in the crucible of war, they still faced systemic discrimination. They couldn't vote in much of the South, were denied service in white restaurants, and were barred from white neighborhoods. They had shed their blood for a nation that still refused to acknowledge their full humanity, a profound betrayal of their sacrifice. When the armistice was finally signed on November 11, 1918, America's soldiers returned home as conquering heroes. Parades filled the streets, a nation celebrated, and a collective sigh of relief swept across the land. The war was over, and a new era of peace and prosperity seemed to dawn. But this celebration, tragically, proved fleeting. The Roaring Twenties ushered in an era of unprecedented economic boom and a desire for normalcy, leading to a collective amnesia regarding the war's horrors. Americans yearned to forget the trenches, the gas, and the immense human cost. There was a pervasive belief that democracy had been secured and the world truly made safe, allowing the nation to move forward unburdened. Then came December 7, 1941. The attack on Pearl Harbor plunged America into an even greater, more existential conflict. World War II, with its clear moral imperatives and global scale, irrevocably overshadowed everything that came before it. The Great War became, in the public consciousness, the forgotten war. The doughboys, once celebrated, faded into yesterday's heroes, their stories buried beneath the burgeoning legend of the greatest generation. This forgetting, however, came at an immense cost. We lost the invaluable lessons forged in those muddy trenches, lessons about the true, devastating price of war, the fragility of peace, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. We lost their voices, their warnings, and the profound wisdom gleaned from their unparalleled experience. Their sacrifice, though immense, was relegated to the footnotes of history. Over 116,000 Americans made the ultimate sacrifice in World War I. They fell in places whose names, though etched in history, remain largely unfamiliar to many Americans. Belleau Wood, Château-Thierry, the Meuse-Argonne. They were farmers from the heartland of Iowa, tireless factory workers from the bustling streets of Detroit, and the hopeful sons of immigrants from New York's Lower East Side. Each one a life, a family, a future extinguished. They died believing they were fighting the war to end all wars, a noble, if ultimately unfulfilled, aspiration. History, in its cruel irony, proved them wrong, yet their sacrifice was no less real, their courage no less profound, and their commitment to duty no less absolute. Their legacy is not diminished by the wars that followed, but rather amplified by the enduring lessons they offer. These forgotten soldiers, these brave doughboys, deserve far better than our silence. Their stories, rich with valor, suffering, and unwavering patriotism, belong not merely in dusty archives or academic texts, but firmly within the vibrant tapestry of our national memory. They earned their place in our hearts, in our history, and in our collective consciousness with their blood, their sweat, and their profound sacrifice. We rightly remember the greatest generation. We grapple with the complex legacy of Vietnam. We mourn the losses of 9/11. It is now, more than ever, our sacred duty to remember the doughboys too. To understand their war is to understand a pivotal moment in our nation's journey, and to honor them is to affirm the enduring value of every American who has ever answered the call. This is the Scholar's Ledger, where history, faith, and power are revealed. Subscribe, share, and join the search for truth. Slow fade on a WWI memorial with fresh flowers placed by unknown hands, perhaps a veteran's hand, lingering for a moment.